everybody. Welcome to Creature Corner. I'm Jared Krichevsky. I've been a creature and character concept artist in the industry for about a baker's dozen. So I've been making some monsters. I've worked on things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gods of Egypt, It. Some upcoming things I've worked on like Black Adam, Borderlands, and some things I can't talk about, which is pretty cool. Anyway, I was thinking about the James Webb telescope photography that's coming out, and just gorgeous, incredible images, beyond fathomable of what the human mind is capable of understanding, and it's quite beautiful. So I was thinking it'd be fun to be in a spacey kind of mood tonight, so I'm going to do Star Trek. We're going to do a Star Trek style character head. So let's get on with it. So yeah, first off, if you haven't seen the footage, the pictures from the James Webb Deep Space Telescope, it's just absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful. So I highly recommend the death of a star. Just like, it's incredible. Mind-blowing stuff. So as a nerd and as a Trekkie, I thought it would be fun. And with the season coming to an end of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that's also really fun. I got to help with the design process of the baby Gorn, myself and Mauricio Ruiz, and many other artists, I'm sure. We all tried to tackle designs, and they came out really fun for the baby Gorn. That was a bucket list character, classic character like the Gorn in Star Trek. Anyway, so we're gonna sculpt our own guy today. And if you like Star Trek or understand Star Trek, it doesn't matter. Basically, we're making a humanoid alien character, and fitting into a Star Trek world where everything is really evolved. These creatures are, these are characters, creatures, who are capable of interstellar travel and trade and communication, all these things. So how do we make an alien humanoid design from something we've never seen before? So in this case, I'm going to start with a basic human male bust that I've got. This was from Daz, which is a free downloadable program. They come with some base meshes and some basic poses. So that's what I just lifted this from, and many years ago. And it's just enough to like get me started, right? You can see I basically I have the model elsewhere, but for the purposes of demonstration and then keeping it locked into just a head, because one thing that can happen when you're designing is you start working on something and then suddenly you want to do 900 other things and build out a whole thing, so just by cutting off the rest of the body, I'm saying I'm just keeping it locked to the head. So in a way, we're already giving ourselves some limitations and some boundaries. So that's what happened there. And then normally in a work situation, I would ask if there's a scan of the actor. Nowadays, scans are very common. So generally we like to get a scan of the person and work off of that. Sometimes that's not always the case. You're not gonna get a scan, so you just have to have a model around. I do have a lot of good scans that I keep with me, various projects or other things like that. 1024 also has some fantastic scans. So yeah, get some scans. Get some good scans of humans. The reason why is because it's a real person, right? It's much easier to work on top of a real person. It gives you the boundaries and limitations. You know, Star Trek makeups are additive. They're not, green screening out stuff and doing a bunch of CGI because that would be really expensive, right? So they have to use that money carefully, right? They have a makeup budget with limited funds, and they say, well, we have a character of the week, right? Which is our alien diplomat character that's going to have a conflict of some kind with our intrepid crew. So we have to design a creature, a creature character, alien diplomat, using the tools at hand. So in this case, in most cases, I always like to work in ZBrush, mostly because it's just what I'm comfortable with. That's how I got started, and it's just my main weapon. So if they wanted to see a lot of options, I might start from a base like this, do a snapshot, send that into Photoshop, and just do options and paints and draw overs and things like that, just so we have a variety of options. So let's say client doesn't really know what they want to see yet, and they might want to see a lot of options. Sketching might be the way to go. What I've noticed personally is some clients respond very differently to sketches, and some only respond to 3D, and or things that are very highly realized. Some people just need that extra push of realism to get going. So got a base mesh. Reason why I like this base mesh is he's got his little teeth right here. He's got his teeth right there. So I like this just because it's helpful, because if I need to open the mouth for a reason, for an expression, sometimes I might use that for a little bit of expression working on top. Also, I like it because the eyes are locked into place. We can build prosthetics out, within reason, or possibly fit animatronics in there. It kind of depends on what the brief is, what the client is willing to do, how far they want to push it. So you just kind of have to read that. I've been talking a lot, but if you guys have any questions for me at any time, I'm live. I'm a real human person, so you can ask me questions. Our friend Matt Millard could not be here today, but he is eagerly awaiting his return, hopefully next week. So we love you, Matt. We miss you. We wish you would share your bacon with us. We're going to have a good time. Okay. So base mesh, blah, 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 DAZ, blah, 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 duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate it right off the bat just because I'm paranoid and I like to have a good backup. The other thing I'm going to do is just split the eyes and teeth apart. And then I'm going to subdivide this guy up. To about 5 or 6 subdivision levels. In this case, I like to hold on to the subdivision levels. And if I need to, I will break them again. I will break it with Dynamesh or Sculptress. It kind of depends on where we're going. So I want to go for a more complex makeup. This is all the references I've collected. These are just like references I've collected from just scouring the internet of visual effects. I belong to several groups on Facebook for visual, and practical effects. So I collect kind of everything I see and kind of I don't really catalog it. I'm too lazy. But I do like just jam it into a folder. So the folder is named, so that's as specific as I want to get. So I kind of collect everything and I just dump it into Pure Ref because it's good to look at. And instead of like categorizing it or being like, I'm going to label where everything is, I just dump it all in there just because I want my mind to be just polluted with nonsense. So that's how I'm going to let some happy accidents happen. My kind of like guiding star so far, design-wise, is I like some of these guys over here. Maybe not pushing the eyes so far, because the name of the game with this is, let's just say we have to see the actor's eyes and kind of lips, but nose can change, ears can change, and we can build on top and maybe give them a bald cap, things like that. So we can build on top, but we're not going to move the eyes. Maybe we'll do contact lenses for the eyes, and maybe some applied dentures. It kind of depends. I did have this guy's kind of like my guiding star at the moment. I'm gonna go in a different direction, obviously, but like the idea of, he looks aquatic or he looks exotic in some way. I do love it when they go really weird, and there's always that like one dude who just like, I don't know how he breathes or eats food, but it's awesome, and he just looks cool. So I will grab. I have a bubbly water. I'm gonna kind of take the best ideas kind of from everywhere, and we'll just run with it. So again, if you have any questions, come say hi. Come tell me what kind of toast you're eating. So I'm also going to start with a morph target just in case. And we're going to lower the sub-Ds again. And I'm just going to go ahead and erase the ears. Now, I have this kind of, I have the bust duplicated, so I have a backup. And that kind of will also give me my structure and kind of let me know how far out I can go. So this is going to be our kind of design bust. Make sure that you quick save frequently. And I'm just going to erase the ears by just alt relaxing. I love that I have Star Wars music playing while I do a Star Trek character. What's more beautiful than that? Okay, so I'm going to start by erasing the ears, and then we're going to just kind of build out on top of the nose. And I'll probably switch into clay buildup here. And the important thing is to figure out who is this character. So he's an alien diplomat, and that's all I know right now. But it's a process of questions, asking yourself questions about the character that you're working on. You may have a brief that the client gives you, and they say he's part of this species. He likes. He's going to be really difficult, or he's going to be antagonistic at first. So we can build out, but not in. I always love shows like Star Trek and now the Orville, which is fantastic. Anytime there's alien diplomacy, sign me up. So our character is going to be maybe perceived in a bad way in the beginning, or maybe he's a bad guy. He's probably going to be a bad guy. I'm not there yet. I don't know. I'm just building out appliances. And even though I subdivided all the way up, I'm staying at the lowest subdivision level right now. We're just working with shapes. And I don't have a plan. I have kind of like a... No, I didn't even have it like a basic image in my mind, but we're just going to start. We're going to let those happy accidents happen. And maybe he'll tell us something in the process. Okay, building up these cheekbone ridges, carrying over to the ears. And then we're going to work out the face first, and then we'll start building out some cloth and some other elements here. Just remember that it's all additive. We're just building on top. Oh, hello. We're doing some Star Trek alien heads. We're gonna make a little diplomat. We're gonna start with the makeup here, just building on top of the actor's face. So I've got a base mesh. You can see this is what I started with. Very simple. And again, this was taken from a free program called DAZ. So I just took that base mesh, and I'm just going to be using jumping on top. And we're going to listen to Star Wars lo-fi while we do this. I don't know why. So we're just kind of building on top of an actor's face. And the reason why I started with the base mesh versus, let's say, sculpting a head from scratch, right? Starting from a sphere and sculpting a head from scratch. It's because you don't have time. You have to you have to design, and you need structure to work on top of. I like this line right here, so I'm just going to follow that. And we're going to figure out things about his species on the way, because that's always fun to think about. You know, he came from, you know, what kind of habitat did they live in, which is going to determine their physiology, and then in turn their whole makeup, their whole societal makeup. They usually have differences. There's always kind of that one tricky ethical thing that that the crew has to deal with. It's always like, hey, we love this friendly species, but they eat their young. You know, you're like, ugh. You know, we're making contact with outside civilizations. And this is just silly. So there's always like a catch, with the species or something like that. And that's the fun of the show, is the ethical dilemma of meeting new people, of exploration, right? So we're just gonna follow some lines here, and we're just gonna build on top. And if I do find I get locked on a particular piece of stuff, I'll kind of switch over. Jared, I was wondering, what was a good work-life balance in this career field? Is it hard to manage? And what's your favorite Godzilla universe kaiju if you have one? Thanks. A good work-life balance is one where you, I would say, it's more about when you're with people, be with that person, turn off everything else and just be with the people you're with. Look, you should strive to work 40 hours a week. I know the. Okay, let me start fresh. You're gonna have to find what works for you. Everybody's different. What works for me and my wife is because we've communicated, what our career goals and schedules are like, so we work around those things. The key is just communication for me and my wife. Certainly, put the time in, and then do other things as well. Go out in nature, go on hikes, exercise frequently. It's good to just get away and then come back. So you're gonna have to find what works for you, and it's gonna be different for everybody. But I think it's essential to balance out your life with this, because if you just work too much, the job it will just destroy your body. So you just have to spend the other half of your life taking care of this liquid, gooey meat and bone machine that we are. So it's tough. It's definitely tough. And my favorite Godzilla universe kaiju, it's hard, but it comes down to Hedorah. I think I love pollution monsters. I don't know why. It's very. I just love pollution monsters. It's just something existentially terrifying, and I think it would be a very apt foe for Godzilla to fight. I don't know if we'll see that in. I think Toho would probably be the one to do it. They would have like Shin Hedorah or something. That's what I'd like to see personally, because I think because Shin Godzilla is a masterpiece, and so I'd love to see what Toho does with it. I think the MonsterVerse is in a different direction. It's very Americanized, and so American audiences have different tastes. Whereas like Shin Godzilla is so terrifying, not just because of the creature, but because of the ineptitude of government, which is the real underlying story of that. So I think Toho should do Hedorah, because I think they would do it really well, especially if you get the same director. Any advice to recent grads looking for junior positions? Keep posting work every day. Not every day, but like put yourself on a deadline and meet it. Do a piece a week or 2 pieces a week, whatever whatever you need, but like just continually be making work and putting it out there and receiving feedback, because that's how you get good. The other thing is just apply for positions. Um, you know, just keep putting stuff out there, keep networking, meaning, talking to other artists that you like, obviously in a respectful and kind way, but just keep putting work out there. That's how you do it. It's just the more work you put out, the better you get, the more mileage you get, the better your work gets. So yeah. Let's see. I don't know if that's like a great answer, but if you want to work at a studio, find the studio that you want to work at. Like what I generally tell students is make your top list, your top 5, bottom 5 list, and your overall top 10. And those are the top 10 studios you want to work for, right? Like, I really want to work at X studio, XYZ studio. Could be games, could be film, could be whatever. And that's the bar you want to aim for, right? Is your top 5 are the top best studios. So to you, that may be ILM, Weta, Double Negative, whatever it is, or if you love video games, it's Sony Santa Monica or Valve. I don't know, wherever you want to go. But make your list. That's number 1. Is make your list, and then start looking at artists who work there at the studio that you want to work at, because that is the bar to obtain. So look at the artists who are putting out that work and start putting out work and doing work that that has that vibe, that feels like it could fit in that world. And then you make your bottom 5 list, your bottom 5, which are like studios that may not be your top thing that you want to do, but you could see yourself working for them and having having a good time and fitting into their world. So and then start applying, building your portfolio, putting out work, and applying to places that that need people. Start, everyone always aims for these top companies, right? And in fact, you should be aiming for smaller companies because they need people. And it's important to support smaller companies sometimes. And it's a great way to get experience, get your foot in the door, and then start producing a body of work. And then when you go home, now this is you're a recent grad, but yeah, like start working for people who need people, get your foot in the door. Even if it's doing like scene assembly, or you're modeling props, whatever you got to do, just get your foot in the door, and then get yourself a paycheck, basically, so you can survive. And then once you're done surviving, you can start thriving, and you can start building up a portfolio and a client list, and you can start going around to different studios, especially as you start advancing. So getting work experience will help a lot as well. So putting out work, putting out a lot of work. When I was just out of Gnomon, so I had just graduated. I had my internship, and so that internship that I had at Gnomon turned into a job. So I walked out of Gnomon with a job, which was incredibly crazy and rare to think about. And that ended up turning into a career for 7 years, and produced a lot of work there. And when I was done with work, I would go home and I would do more work. At the time I was, single and unattached. So what I did is I kind of shut off everything else. And, I would go out with friends and things like that, but I kind of just shut everything off and just for a couple years just focused on the work. And I would just go home every day and I would be self-critical, and I'd be like, okay, why is my work not making me happy yet? What can I do to make this work happy? Happy making. And it's not the end, it wasn't the finished work that I was happy with. But I loved the process of just like, okay, I'm gonna try and make something. And I fell in love with the process. So that's what I did, is I just spent a lot of time and I eschewed my social life for a little while, just to focus on getting better. Because even though I was working now out of the industry and working, or in the industry and working, I was still not happy with my work. I was still surrounded by these artists who are really, really good, and that forced me to just push myself really, really hard. Now with a wife and a son, I would. It's going to be it would be much different. I think I would have to really budget my time, and I would probably plan out more hours to get stuff done. Now I'm just building out on top of the torso. Even though this is probably all going to get covered, at least I'm kind of carrying the thought through. Notice I really haven't subdivided much at all. So it's I'm staying very low res this whole time. I really love it when they have like pointy eyebrows. And we can build out on top of this, getting some kind of ideas from various makeups as well. I slam both the horror and the sci-fi all in one folder. So you're kind of like, oh, that's super cool. But I love this one. So beautiful. Very elegant. But this is also kind of like, the bar that's out there. Like, it's just stunning. So cool. So I'll just kind of travel around and kind of like find things that I like. I always do like these guys with their little weird nostrils up here. As long as it's a fun character, I think we'll just forgive anything. Good question. How do you find the energy to create after work, especially working in a creative position all day? Great question. So I'll say this is like when I was working at Borders before my in the before times at Gnomon, I would work and then I'd come home and I'd work, just building up my portfolio. In that case, I was drawing a lot, so I was trying to get into Gnomon, so I was building on my portfolio. So in that case, the motivation to work came from, I have a task that I want to set out and do, which is go to school, go to this school. So I need to build a portfolio for this school. Now, after all, let's say I put in an 8-hour day, an 8 to 9 hour day, working for a client, right? And let's say magically, I have the time, and I'm not tired, and I'm like, and I sit down, and I'm like, oh, satisfied the client. Now it's time to satisfy Jared, the artist, right? And so I'll sit down, and maybe there's something that I've been noodling on for a long time. The question is just like, how do you find the energy to keep creating on a long day? And the answer is I exercise. So my break times are exercise or stretching, foam rolling, taking care of my body. So I'm like literally trying to give myself some energy. I have to give myself some energy that way. I also have 3 dogs, so I walk the dogs every morning, at least a mile. So the physical exercise gives you body energy to make it through the day. And I do drink about 1.5 cups a day, especially when I'm working, of coffee. So I do get some kind of caffeine kick in the morning, exercise in the afternoon, and then at night if I'm working. That I think I'm just so motivated to keep working, or I want to keep building on my portfolio. So I want to work. I need to. When I'm not doing that, I'm playing Elden Ring, Bloodborne, playing with my kid. Great question. Keep the questions coming. Apologize if already asked this, but what's your method when it comes to figuring out something to make? I struggle settling on something to make, and I can never decide. Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part. Is like you sit down and you go, what do I do? Right? And that's the hard part. Okay, so if you're like me and you like creatures, you know that you're going to sit down and work on a creature of some kind. The question, then you need to start asking yourself questions like, what haven't I made before? Or what do I want to make again? Like what should I try? And then give yourself some limitations, right? So I like to go through the 3, we'll do this real quick. I like to go through the 3 main genres that creatures live in, right? So just in the realm of Creature Corner, the 3 genres that the creatures live in, which is fantasy, science fiction, and horror. So those 3 are the 3 big genres that creatures tend to live in. You're not going to see a creature in a rom-com, right? Or on Wine Valley featuring Garlax. You're not going to see that, right? So creatures tend to live in interesting kind of worlds and stories. They inhabit strange things, or if it's horror, it's the things that go bump in the night, things like that. So what I do is I sit down and I go, okay, what are the 3 genres? Sci-fi, fantasy, horror. What was the last one I did? What's one I haven't done in a while? And I start narrowing the scope, because the hard part when you're sitting down and you're like, I just need to make something. Like, I just need to make something, right? Well, what do you make? Well, start with the genres. What's a genre you haven't played with before? And I always like to just challenge myself on the next one. What's something else I haven't done? I do have my comfort zones, though. Let's see. I always have a plan. Just like part 2 of your question, I always have a plan. I always have to plan everything out. know what I'm making, that mixed with the problem of not being able to decide or know what to make, is a terrible problem. So what's happening is you are getting creative anxiety, right? And it's the anxiety of too many options. And that's something I've experienced as well. You sit down and there's like, I could make a million things. I have so many ideas, so many things running through my mind. How do I possibly catalog it all, right? This is what happens when you're creative is you have a lot of ideas. Maybe motivation is not a problem for you, but you just have so many ideas, it's hard to keep track of it all. So that's something, yeah, 100, yeah. So you're having the anxiety of too many options. So what you need to do is start limiting your scope and giving yourself limitations. So then the next thing that I'll do is I'll break it down into big, medium, small. So what's a small project that I can sit down and accomplish quickly where I feel like I've, accomplished something and I've scratched the creative itch. So in this case, like a Star Trek alien, this is just a head and shoulders. This is something I know that I can accomplish relatively quickly, that will scratch the creative itch, and I'll feel, satisfied once it's done. So start narrowing your scope. The other thing is write everything down. Write it all down. Art and writing, they are two sides of the same brain. So the more writing that you do, the better your imagination, your third eye, whatever you want to call it, the stronger your imagination will be. So writing and art together in tandem will make you stronger in both. So I write everything down now. I used to not do that. Now I write everything down, whether I have a mountain of Post-its or on my phone. I have a document on a Google Doc on my phone where I write everything down. And lately I've been, I'm writing as well. So I'm not just making concept art, but I write every day as well. Even if it's for an hour, or if I'm just writing notations on my phone, I'll do that. So it just helps. It helps to write stuff down. And then if I'm like, what do I do? Because that happens to me. I sit down and I'm like, man, what do I make? And then I have a list of stuff, of ideas. So narrow your scope, write everything down, break it down into big, medium, small chunks, things that you can accomplish quickly, or maybe if you've done a bunch of stuff that you did quickly, what's something that you can expand on, do something a little bit, a little bit longer. Do this. Well, that's starting something small, and then 30 minutes later, it's 10 times bigger. Well, that's just the art brain. That's just artist brain. That's just what we do, right? We create worlds and we love fantasy characters and things like that. So it's very normal. That's very normal. You just have to learn how your own mind works. And you have to do what works for your own mind. Like once I kind of figured out how my brain works, we started getting along a lot better. Let's just say that. So I'm going to start poking out some shapes here. It's probably a very common shape to pull out. It's kind of zygomatic bones, but. And then also, don't worry about creating something brand new each time that we've never seen before. Just, even if you're making fan art is great. It's a great way to just exercise the muscle. I just finished some fan art myself. So, I love doing fan art. So fan art's a great way to just exercise the muscle. And then once you get comfortable with the process of creating and learning how your mind works, then you can start doing stuff. There's a great book that I recommend as well, and I'm going to get to your other question real quick, but there's a book by Eric Maisel, and I wholly recommend this book. This helped me through a lot of blocks. So it's called Mastering Creative Anxiety. It's a very quick read. And you can kind of like pick it up, like if you're struggling with a specific problem, you can kind of pick it up and read that section and be like, okay. And then you can just go back to creating. So I've experienced probably nearly everything that's in this book. Like I've experienced this problem sitting down as a creative person, as a type C creative person. I've figured out, okay, I can work around it. So highly, highly recommend this book for anybody who is an artist, or, you don't even have to be an artist. You can just be a creative person. I don't know what I'm saying. You can just read this book. It's a good book. Fantasy and what else? What are the difference between? Well, the three genres. Let me go back. The three main genres of films that creatures appear in, creatures, aliens, characters, things like that, are fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. And they can blend. They can be genre blends between the two. So, for example, my favorite example would be Pan's Labyrinth, right? That's a fantasy film with horror blends into it. It's got horrific moments in it, but it's a fantasy film. The Pale Man, for example, he's a fantasy creature, but he's also horrific. So they can definitely blend between the two. Another example would be Alien, right? Sci-fi plus horror. Event Horizon, which is sci-fi plus horror. I'm trying to think if I just want to give this guy nostrils or not. I want to give him a big broad space up here and maybe build up on top of the head a little bit more. So he's got a larger cranium. And maybe in the back here, I'm thinking we'll do some kind of frills with some hair kind of punctuated in the back. So I'm not going to worry too much about sculpting the back of the head here. And then what's nice is I can kind of, ghost over it and look at the makeup on top of the character. Let me open up ghost mode. And I can kind of build out a little bit more. Whoops, probably be the same, but like we can build out here. And I do want to lock the eyes down, so I'll mask those off. Pull out here. Just trying to keep a cool shape. And, it's very common to like pull the head out like this. Because it looks cool. It always looks cool. I'm like, oh man, I'm doing another Conehead character, but it just always works and it always looks cool. So maybe this guy's got kind of a flat top, like he's got a big old Melanie dome here. Let's see. And then, I don't know, what are some good fantasy and sci-fi? Know any fantasy sci-fi films? Maybe the music that I'm listening. Star Wars is fantasy because of the Force. I think that's why fans were mad in the prequels. Yes, it is. Jotun Creature, which was in the Ritual. So sick. Yes. That's Keith Thompson design. It's just awesome. It's terrifying. That movie had just come out when we had just started working on Antlers, and I had watched it. So I brought that up. I was like, we have to make sure it doesn't look like this, which is shreds. Okay. So now I've got my kind of underlying structure. What are your thoughts on creating the next iconic creature, but was created for a client, so they own the rights? You get paid for the initial work, but your character goes on to make millions. Yeah, I mean, like, number one, they own it, right? So there's no, they own it. So I'm essentially work for hire. So yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't necessarily make me happy because we're artists are kind of we're the backbone of kind of the industry. We make all the cool visuals and stuff. So I do think we deserve royalties. And in that. But in the meantime, you charge a very high rate for working. And this is why you don't lowball yourself, because you're right. You design the next creature, but you don't know if the creature will be the next thing. You don't know if it's going to be the next alien. Chances are there's so much content that just doesn't happen anymore. I mean, the truth is, an option to contract where you get paid for the work up front. I mean, I don't have an entertainment lawyer. Most of the work that I do is contracted out through visual effects studios, so they or special effects prop houses, or working through costume designers. So a lot of that is not kind of up to me. It's should I have an entertainment lawyer look over all that stuff and possibly negotiate that stuff for me? Yes, but the cases where that happens is so rare that I don't think that's really an option. Like usually I'm getting contacted through my clients because they're being paid by the studio. So they already kind of have that stuff into agreement. Now, would that be different if, say, I don't know, James Cameron's coming up to me, he's like, Jared, I want you to design the new creature for blah, blah, blah movie, yeah, sweet. But it doesn't really happen that way. It's, most of that stuff out is just farmed out through visual effects now. You know, the companies own all the rights, and they're not going to give you any kind of percentage anyway. So you have to just take it in your rate. You just have to charge a high rate, especially when you know that the project will possibly be a hit. So the only way that I'm going to kind of get that money if I make something and put something out. And then the question becomes like, what's the avenue for putting something out? You know, because like, okay, we could shoot a short film. We could put out a comic book. We could make a short film using the resources that we have right now, which would, you know, but that takes X amount of time or X amount of dollars. So really the only way you're going to make that kind of money is by putting a product out there. It's some kind of intellectual property that is going to make a lot of money. And the route for that seems to be indie comics. You know, you need to either put out a book and publish it, or you need to put out a book, write a script, you know, something with your name attached to it, something that people will want to buy and, you know, put into a movie, film, or TV show. Yeah, if you have a big following, you can crowdfund your project. Maybe you can make a Krichevsky collectible, unique creature statues. That's pretty cool. I like that. I do have a short film that I'm working on, that I've storyboarded. I've written, I've storyboarded. I've designed the creature. I'm putting together a pitch packet. You know, so that is the plan. So I do want to do that. Right now, it's been a question of timing, the right timing. How do we want to time this? How do we want to do it? So I am planning on shooting this short film sometime in my lifetime, because I just want to make this one stupid thing. And if I can only make this one thing, I'm going to make it as cool as it can possibly be. And it's got a big smelly monster in it. So what more could you want, I guess? I would think that it's a double-edged sword. People / creators who would be interested in the art you created may seek you for other opportunities and exposure. Yeah, I suppose so. Generally don't work for exposure, because it's BS. Only work for money. Otherwise, you're just paying, you know, pay yourself to make the art that you want to make. Don't ever, anyone who offers you exposure is just full of it. This guy's starting to take shape now. Yeah, I mean, he looks kind of almost heroic or something, but we're gonna get cooler. We'll get more granular as we go on. It's already 9 o'clock. Here in Los Angeles, it's the 9 o'clock hour. Yeah. Krichevsky collectibles. That's fun. I don't know if I want to do toys. I mean, I love toys. I love toys. But I don't know if I want to just do that, because it's such a crowded market. And my true passion is film and cinema. So I can see myself, you know, I've tried doing a lot of printing and stuff, and I get bored with the engineering and stuff like that. So I am writing a lot as well. I've written I've got 5 outlines for projects going right now. I've got 2 first drafts of scripts. Another that I'm outlining, I'm nearly done with. So I've been writing a lot, and that's kind of where my mind has been. Just lots and lots of writing. I have a project that it's basically the feature-length film of the short film. So I'm building out that world, and now I'm thinking this world is, I'm gonna need to like illustrate a comic book. That's the only way I keep kind of coming back to it. I can make the short film, but to help build the world, I'm gonna have to like draw a whole comic book, which is an exhausting thought. This is a lot of work. Drawing comics is hard. It's really, really hard. And I am my art skill, my 2D art skills are, they've atrophied over the years just from spending all this time in 3D. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't lose your drawing skills. I still draw a lot, but it is it's more like utilitarian. It's more like drawing to get me into 3D. How do short films actually make money? It seems like they're good pieces of work, but only for passion projects. I'd love to see that avenue create opportunities. I just don't see how from YouTube. Yeah, the goal of making a short film is not to make money. You're not going to make money. It is basically a vanity project to put something out there. And that's kind of the gamble that you have to take. Is it worth it to you to, crowdfund, spend the time to raise up a project, to put something out there? And you better believe you have to have some kind of belief in yourself to push that forward. So yeah, it is not a money-making prospect, but the benefit of producing a short film is, one, you're now a filmmaker. It doesn't matter how long the thing is that you made, you're now a filmmaker. So just being able to say that you've made a film, I think is pretty damn cool, especially considering how hard it is. A lot of concept artists who are very, very good, you kind of end up in this trap of, you love the concept art, you love what you're doing, you're doing well, but you want more. You want to do more and tell bigger stories. I've seen this a lot, and a lot of concept artists go into short films, and they try to sell their IP. They try to sell their IP, or they try to sell themselves as filmmakers. And I think it's great, because we need more filmmakers. We need lots of filmmakers. We need lots of stories. There's lots of untapped ideas out there, and I like to think I have good story ideas. I have good character art skills, so we know that I can make a thing that sells, or that will make it up the marketing chain. Can I make a short film? Good question. I've directed in high school. I've directed plays and things like that. My senior project or whatever. Shot short films with my friends in college. Very silly ones, but we had fun. So now I want to do something that's more creature oriented and more fun. This guy's not looking as menacing as I thought he would. Would my film be all CG or CG live action? Well, the short film is live action, and I want to get a practical creature suit for that. So once I have kind of more artwork and more finalized design, because I just got to scan the actor that I would like to use. But it would be I want to do practical effects work. I really love practical creatures, and then do CG augmentation on top of practical, because I think that the hybrid approach is incredible and it's really underutilized. They've done things like it in Witcher, where they use a practical makeup effect and then CG around it. And I really like that. In the case of keeping the short film at least somewhat affordable, then I would do. I'm trying to just get a practical suit made, mostly because it's greedy, because I want to see it. I want to make it. I think it would be really cool. And then my experience working on Antlers with the at Legacy and seeing the practical creature process was just life changing. That was just the coolest thing I'd ever gotten to witness. It was so cool. So it convinced me that I really want to make some practical creature effects. Now, different stories that I've written, those are different. They have different needs. I wrote one feature that would have a digital creature, but we would need a practical puppet for certain shots, things like that. So I want to do the gambit. Let's see. Do you own any creature props from any movie? What would be your creature prop holy grail? I don't own any props, mostly because it's really hard for me to want to pay, upwards of how much money for XYZ prop. But so I kind of live vicariously, and then maybe one day, if I ever get to make something, I'll use that money and I will buy all the stupid prop stuff that my heart desires. I really just want to be Guillermo del Toro and just have his house, and just live in his house. That's a guy who loves monsters and then just said, I'm gonna buy everything monster related. What a hero. His collection is just unsurpassed. But if I could get my hands on any prop, I would love to get my hands on an old Gremlin prop from Gremlins 2. On Tested, on Adam Savage's Tested. They had some of the creature props, the original stop motion puppets from that. Yeah. I do need to get a mocap suit at some point. Mostly, I'm not a technical artist. My technical skills are piss poor. And I'm sure if I sat down and kind of applied myself, I could do the technical stuff, the animation stuff, things like that. But I'm convinced that this creature that I want to do for the short would work best as a practical effects suit. The reason why is it gives actors something to work off of. If they can see it, it's exciting for them. It's exciting for me. Lighting and shooting. So that's just my take on it. Now, obviously, every situation is totally different. And also production work, just getting the model up to production stuff just takes a long time. Maybe one day I'll do it. But I'm gonna try and see if I can get a real practical suit made first, and then if that doesn't go right, then I'll go down the production route of just making the model production friendly. And then who knows? Maybe I'll buy a mocap suit. Let's give him some ridges around the nose. I've just kind of only been noodling, but we've been having a good conversation. So, what's up, nerds? What up, nerds? What's up, Adam? Adam Hartel, ladies and gentlemen. We're making some Star Trek, man. It's going to be really cool. So, also, I'm only using like 3 or 4 brushes, I think, total. I would be moving much faster, but it's actually like taxing my brain to think about some of these questions. So, just building up a little bit around the eyes. If you guys like to question and answer stuff, I'm happy to do it. Oh yeah, man, we're doing some Star Trek today. So basically, just to run, we're gonna rewind and run it back. But this is what we started with. This is our base mesh, just a DAZ model that I sliced and diced, real ugly. Duplicated it and just started working on top. So let's see if we can run one. There we go, all the way back. Not that far back. Don't crash on it. This is what happens when you test it. I'm not going to rewind. Come on. That would be super hilarious to just crash it right now. Yeah, I'm just making a new species of alien. I don't really have any ground plans, just having some fun. It looks like an Atlantean or a remake of the Zora people from Zelda. Texturing would make him reptilian or aquatic. Yeah, you're kind of like always you're kind of always like, okay, is it, reptilian? Is it mammalian? Maybe a mix of all of them. So we're just giving him some like interesting features. It just starts by like putting some marks down and make, seeing if you like it. And if you like it, you can stick with it. If you don't like it, you can get rid of it. But you have to make marks. You have to put stuff down. And then using the move tool to kind of like push stuff around. Now, when we see the ear here, I can see that that's still kind of protruding out. Now, they would glue the actor's ears back if they're putting a wig cap over them. You're too funny. The Krichevsky people. It just sounds sinister, I guess. I don't know. Can we expect to see more designs of the new Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I'm hoping that I'll get, permission to show that stuff that we did, but it might be a while. But my hope is, to just keep working on it. If they like me, Star Trek is it's just one of those bucket list shows, for me. My family was a bunch of Trekkies. My dad was a Trekkie. My grandmother. So it goes far back for me. I just really love it. So just the opportunity to get to do what I did was like, oh my God, amazing. I would also, I would love to work with Neville Page at some point. He's an idol of mine. It is incredible work on Discovery. He's just a really nice person. Krichevsky and Smith. Yeah, the juvenile Gorn looked amazing. They looked really cool. Just vicious. Love it. Love that stuff. There's nothing like seeing what you did come to life. It's the coolest part. It's the coolest part. You're like you make little decisions, and the juvenile, that was a combination between myself, between Mauricio Ruiz, who really nailed the look, and then I did some stuff on top of it, and then but the young babies, the backbursting ones, I did a lot of options for those guys, lots and lots of options, and I love where we turned out with it. I'm ready to start like putting some clothing or something on him. He's starting to look a little barren, so I think he needs some clothing. And I'm just gonna take the bust that I have right here, dupe that buddy. We're just gonna slice everything off. Boop. And then since we have this, let's slice it again. Slicing is one of my favorite things to do. So useful. So slicing is good. So let's set some dynamics to it real quick, and then we'll add some other stuff, some other clothing, some more Star Trekian kind of stuff. I would love to get him. I would love to get him on this stream. I'll reach out to him, and hopefully when we get the go ahead to show some work, that'd be a great time to have him on. I always thought it was really cool because Vulcan blood is green, and that's supposed to be that they're copper-based and iron-based. Got me thinking what other kind of cool aliens could be based on other elements. That's cool. Yeah. Now with the James Webb telescope stuff, our imaginations are alike. It's so beautiful. I saw one report that the NASA folks were ugly crying at the photography, which I just thought was hilarious. Dynamics. We're gonna make some cloth. Hello, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're gonna inflate this a little bit. Fat. For some reason, it's not calculating the volume. So, no big deal. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Sculpting. Now, all this crud at the bottom doesn't matter because you're not going to see it anyway. We're just going to be doing head and shoulders, something like this. We'll turn the neck afterwards. Quick save it, just to be careful. And then one of my favorite little tricks is to take a torus here. Whee! Let's grab this little torus. And then if you grab the transposed cloth here, changes your gizmo to a dynamic gizmo. You get a little clothy cloth ball here. There we go. Pardon me while I fiddle. It's a nice cheap way to create some complexity here. There we go. I'm going to inflate this a little bit off of the surface. And the geometry is just absolute junk. So I'm going to remesh it real quick with key groups and do that. There we go. So that looks much cleaner, much better. Do a little polish on that. That'll be much better. Let's try inflate value. Try this. If things are ever going like wrong in ZBrush, just rename the subtool or close it out and reopen. Krichevsky lives on the planet Klaatu in the Verada system. Their entire civilization evolved around watching intercepted transmission of Earth horror films. You have found me out, sir. Ah! How did you know? We must destroy you. Watched a lot of horror films. Imagine if that was your impression of Earth. Woo! Okay, let's try this again. For some reason today, the cloth doesn't want to stay on the surface, which is interesting. Okay, so let's expand. There we go. So the simulation wasn't working, but the brushes are working. And while we have it, since this is already remeshed, let's go ahead and UV it. So this is the advantage of just having all your buttons set right there. So I can UV it, looks fine, boom. No fuss, no muss, right? And then turn on dynamic. Now we can go back and do some more cloth stuff. Thinner material here. We'll just come up with a couple layers. You know, I spend less time on the back because it's all going to be front 3/4 anyway. So we'll just keep it real simple. Just keep it real simple. Have I checked out the new Viggo Mortensen Cronenberg film? No, I haven't. I really want to see it. Really, really want to see it. I've heard it's different than a lot of his other stuff, which I'm fine with. I believe Matt said it's very Lars von Trier of Cronenberg. So if you are cool with that, then you'll be cool with that. So now we've just got some kind of wrinkled clothing here. Did you see it, Adam? Did you see Crimes of the Future? All right. So we haven't really even done any detailing on him so far. It's been pretty simple, just blocking up and build out of forms. Next up, we're going to start building some kind of like frills and parts that'll kind of go on top of this. Yeah, I don't want to go reptilian because honestly, the thought of doing scales, it's not the end of the world, but I've done so many scales. Like when they have that big neck buildup. So I want to do some cool frilly things. So to do that, we can either, there's a million ways you can do that. So we're just going to pick some geometry here. Just kind of base geometry to work with. And we will do, we'll just mask and extract, which is like the go-to. It's the old way. So then we'll just paint it out. pan out a little shape. Doesn't really matter what the shape is because we're just going to sculpt on top of it anyway. Okay, come down here, extract. Okay. Question, too thick? That looks fine. Let's accept, clear the mask, rotate that out. And look, now he's got flaps. He's got little flappies. Thanks, buddy. Or you were talking about the trailer. Yes. The trailer is very cool. Cronenberg's the man. I'm wearing the Fly shirt. Talk about a movie that scarred me for life. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the other side of this and just work with this guy, because now we're going to take this into Sculptress, and this is going to turn into our little Flappy. It's going to be the technical name for it. What was your favorite Star Trek? Sound off. TNG obviously is like the pinnacle, the top. My dad loved the old, Kirk and Spock. My grandmother loved Voyager. But he also loved, my father also loved TNG. To me, TNG would be like my number 1, and then Voyager would be like number 2. What's the difference between a Flappy and a Flippy? Well, Flappies are covering a spot, right? Like, so it's still like you can get in there from the Flappy. Now Flippies are further out, and they help with locomotion. Those are Flippies. Okay, so you got Flappies and Flippies. So I hope that helps. Brave New Worlds, or Strange New Worlds, yeah. Yeah. DS9 is like, it's not my favorite. I know everybody loves DS9. I'll probably get flamed, but it's not my favorite. And the reason is not it's a great story. It's just that I can't stand some of the characters. The bad ones, and you know which one I'm talking about. If you've watched it, but like, oh my god, could not stand some of those characters. And it's because they were done too well. Okay, so he's got some flippies. Yeah, the story is so bizarre to me, because it has more religious overtones. And I know that's part of the kind of like exploration of it, but it just felt kind of out of place for me. Quark is still the best character of that show. Quark and Odo. Okay, so little flippy flaps here. And I might use a little bit of cloth on these guys, as long as my Sculptress is turned off. How many characters would you say you sculpt a week? How much high-level practice is necessary? I think that, well, there's no like one thing where I'm like, I do this many characters a week. It kind of depends on the show, and how many options there are. Like for Baby Gorn, they were small creatures, so it was easy to iterate a lot of ideas, and they wanted to see a lot of ideas, and so it was easy to iterate a lot of ideas. So in that case, it wasn't like crazy, or I mean that was a little bit more crazy. In other cases, it truly depends. But like, how complex of a creature are you doing? There's big, medium, and small stuff. I at least try to do a piece a week. That's my advice. Whatever that means to you, at least a piece a week. Now I'm doing some stuff where I'm like, okay, I know this is going to take 2 days, so I'm going to take 2 days on it and 2 days on the piece and feel like I feel good. High level practice. Look, if you just sit down every day as a discipline and you work from 9 to 5 creating all day, you're going to get good. That's just mileage. That is I don't know what high level practice means. It's just practice. Every day is just sitting down and practicing. High level, I assume, could be when you're on a job for a client. And that's just more pressure. Turn on back face mask. Using the rake tool right now. Yeah, it's just it's sitting down every day and mileage. That's it. It's practice. How do you get good? It's just repetition. That's how the mind works. The mind loves repetition. Doing the same thing every day over and over again. And once you're in that mindset, motivation doesn't become an issue anymore. So I think when motivation was a concept that I felt stronger about when I was younger, when I was a younger artist. I need to be motivated to sit down and create art. And that was not the mindset that I currently have. The mindset I currently have is just sit down and just do the work every single day. Just do it every single day. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. The more fails you have, the better, because that means more wins are around the corner. So once I changed my mindset, my creative outlook was healthier, and it became less of a, oh, I'm not motivated, I'm cursed, or I'll just never be the artist. That you start going through the spiral of negative things that your mind repeats at you, and you start doing that thing where you start spiraling. And you're like, oh, I'll never be the artist I want to be. Oh, my work is crap. Blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. It's very easy to get trapped in that cycle and just to sit and stew on it. So that was not a healthy mindset. My healthy mindset came from, okay, I'm not the artist I want to be now, but maybe one day I will be. And the only way I will be that artist is if I just keep doing it over and over and over. And I'm still not that artist that I want to be. So I just got a lot of work to do, Just keep at it. And also, like, understand that, like, you're just never going to be happy with anything that you do. But that's not the point. the point is not to make yourself happy with with the outcome. The point is to be happy in the process. When you are in a flow state, right? When you're in a flow state, when you're sitting down and you're working and things are clicking or you're challenging yourself, that's what you want. That's where the real growth is happening. And it doesn't happen the way you think it does. Like, and it's not the benefits of such are not something you see right away. But when you're able to, reach a flow state, when you're really happy and you're working and you feel like you're in your purpose or your world, that's what you want. That's the juice. The point is just to create and to engage with your mind and learn how your mind works so that new truths can be revealed. We got little Flappys. Little flippy Flappys. Do a little bit of sculptures in here just to break up these edges. So you just take your main shape, start cutting into it. And what are these things? I don't know. Maybe they filter feeders, or it's for mating. I don't know. We'll come up with that. We'll come up with something. I am that young artist right now, feeling all of that. I really needed to hear that. Yeah, man. Like, look, I suck. Like, the key to being a better artist is just realize you suck and that everybody's better than you anyway. So once you realize that everybody's already better than you, you can just be free and make the stuff that you want to make. Right? It's real easy to get trapped in a shame spiral, in a dark spiral. And I speak truly from experience. I get in dark moods. And it's because I'm passionate. It's because I care and I love what I do, and I love this art form so much, and I love creating so much that when I'm not, when I don't feel like I'm creating the way I should be, I get in a dark mood. Or if I feel like I haven't contributed anything to society, it's weird. But we all get in weird moods like that, and then you just have to recognize that it's a cycle, it's a phase, and that it will be over with, and you will move on. There's also something called the post-project depression, where you finish a project. And let's say you finished a project, you spent a lot of time on it, and now that it's over, you're sad. You get really sad about it because you have nothing to do. And then there's that anxiety that sets in of like, well, now I got to make something new. What else do I have to make? Oh, God. And then you start spiraling down. So the key there, point that I'm making, the key there is to start something new before you finish the other thing. And if you start something new, you'll have that energy and excitement. And then you'll be like ready to go back to it once you finish the other thing. So that's why I have like so many projects that I juggle in a way. Just like projects that we've created here on Creature Corner that I haven't followed through and finished. It's okay, because I know that like I can always go back and like if I ever need something to do, I've got like 900 million things that I could sit and do. So I'm never wanting for stuff, and that's why motivation is not an issue. Sometimes the issue is like, what do I make if I want to make something new? It's like, do I want to go back and work on something, or do I want to make something new? So that's motivation is never an issue. Now, sometimes you're just not going to be in the mood. You're just not going to be feeling it. Or maybe you have some life stuff going on that's stressing you out. And like, look, when you've got that stuff going on and you sit down and you're like, I don't feel like it. It's okay to step away. Step away and you know, in that case, like, go enjoy some art. Go enjoy something that somebody else made, and let it inspire you and to create new things. So I hope that helps. I had that happen last week, where I was just like, I sat down on my computer and I said, nope, not today. And then I left. Crazy how the mind works. I'm sure you did this subconsciously, but the look of the flaps resemble koi fins or lionfish fins. Remixing and resembling nature is the best formula. Correct. We are like, we're chefs. You know, I always think of like little ingredients. I also, I just went to the aquarium recently. And, you know, anytime I can go to the aquarium or the zoo or just to observe nature in any way, it helps fill the creative well. Sometimes you have to go back and fill the creative well. But I love it because I love the jellyfish. Took a really cool photo. Let's see if I can find it. There's some video. Go to Zippy Zap. Going back to, there we go. Found it. I found it.
So cute.
But this is just taken with my phone. Just like staring at the majesty of this like amazing animal. So that's kind of what I'm using as inspiration. And this is why it's important to go to aquariums and museums and things like that to learn. It just helps, you know. Look how just cool that is. Let's see. Another one that I took over here. Just so alien and weird. Just lovely. So references, right? This is all research. That's a big part of the job, is just research. I love these guys. These are the little tiny jellies. So small that my camera couldn't even focus on them. They're just tiny, like pinpricks. But they're just little jellies, just flapping around. So cool. And then one of my favorite things. Oh, we got a crab. We have crab. They had a crab. Look at that guy. They're just so weird. Look at his little flippy flaps and his little mouth hands. I don't know what that's called. I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm just an artist. So these are flippy flaps. Shout out to the crab man. Anyway, so these are feathered starfish. But look at these like Lovecraftian abominations. Just amazing, amazing stuff. So I love it. Anytime you can go back and observe, it's just going to help because you build a visual library. And that's just really what we're doing is we're just remixing nature. I didn't mean to go aquatic, but now that I have these flippy flaps in there, he's definitely aquatic. Should get a move on. I'm going to duplicate. Move it down. Scale it. Now, I could do this with the target stages or other things like that. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so we've got these guys. I'm going to auto group and mirror and weld. Let's do one more. Just kind of picking them up. Okay, so now get ready for some of that secret sauce. So I'm going to take this part, I'm going to duplicate, or I'm going to clone it over here. I'm going to cut it in half. Now I'm going to move it over. I'm going to take this and I'm going to weld it. And we'll see if we get some like new kind of fun junky pieces to make and use. So I like to do this method where I'll clone it and then I'll kind of rotate it around and I'll clone it or duplicate it. And we're just getting some kind of like happy accident stuff here. Clone it. Okay. And then I'll like go around the other way. Flip it like that. And I'll go like that. I don't know what that looks like. There we go. So now we've got some cool flippy flaps that look all weird and janky. Yeah, like armor pieces, really, really bizarre, kind of interesting shapes. So just happy accidents. Not trying to force anything through. Not trying to force some ideas to happen. Just happy accidents. All right, let's take this. It's kind of cool. We'll go like this. Right? I don't know. That's cool. Let's clone it. Let's save it. Right now I am sculpting the scapula in order to learn how bones work. It's important because we are all made of bones. The thing to remember with the scapula is that the scapula shoulder complex, so your scapula all the way to the acromion process here. Sorry, this is your scapula, the clavicle. The clavicle to acromion process to scapula. It's all kind of part of the same complex here that helps rotate the shoulders. Really, really cool and complex. Just remember that your humerus here is locking into the scapula. So the arm is a part of the scapula. All that good stuff. Just go like this. Just kind of jiggle around. Okay. So let's make one last cool, neato armor piece. Like that. Okay, cool. All right. Do I like him? I don't know. Let's see what we can use. So the point is just to make some stuff really quick. All right, let's take this. I'm going to create an insert mesh brush out of it. And let's try, I like this guy. This guy's kind of got some cool stuff going on. We'll clone that. But now I clone because I care. But it's just important to I think it's important to just have some backups. Okay. So these guys are all kind of welded in. Oops. Let's go back to our guy. That doesn't really work for that. Maybe it's better for the back of the head. So we'll kind of tuck this piece in here, and then we'll find we'll sculpt a kind of a cool way for this to kind of flap out of the head. And this kind of adds some nice silhouette to it. In a way that kind of feels organic and also super neato. All this kind of stuff, but it does, right now it doesn't like fit. Maybe I'll get rid of that. Okay. So we tried it. We're gonna split it off, and then that way, if I like it, I can come back. Thank you so much. 2 Mechagodzillas. 2. Greatest honor of my life is not 1 but 2 Mechagodzillas. Love this guy. Had a great time working on it. Loved how he turned out in the movie. It's just like one of those like sweet spots. Question is, a professional, do you have to work all year long, or do you get time to rest? Could you travel and still meet workload with Wacom Mobile, powerful enough laptop? Have you thought about it? Great question. Thank you. I've actually taken 2 months off to rest and recuperate. Work is slow right now anyway. So there will be periods of dips and kind of peaks. Sometimes there's so much work going on that you have to turn it down. Other times you're going to have dips where you don't have a lot of work. That's where I'm at right now. I've got word that things, that some things might pick up, but there's no guarantee. So right now I'm just focusing on the weaknesses in my portfolio and working on doing more costume work, because I need to get more costume work out there. So that's what I've been focused on. So you do get time to rest. Sometimes, the last project I was on for 7 months. So it went on for a really long time. So by the time I was done with it, I'm like, I was really grateful to just have the time to rest and recuperate. So that's where I'm at right now. Work will pick up again, and I'm sure I'll be, right back to it in no time. So yeah, you will get time to rest, and when you do have time to rest, like really, like just don't work and just recuperate. Let's these are so cool, but let me split mask points. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to try something else. This time I'm going to flip it. We're going to flip. We're gonna flip everybody. We're gonna flip it. So I'm just gonna kind of move it around and find some kind of interesting spots for it. And just kind of some happy accident stuff. Again, I'm never trying to force an idea through because I find that if I try to force something through, it doesn't usually happen the way I want, and it just makes me mad. So I'm a happy accidents guy. I just like to explore and try different things and hope something works. It's kind of cool in the back here, I guess. I'm going to actually move them over and weld it. So I have weld set to a hotkey here. Now these guys I'm not going to weld, but maybe that bottom flap kind of welds together. I haven't really played with any color here yet. Maybe we can play with a little color. I like to just flood it with a color. So color can also help kind of break things up a little bit. Could you give any tips on landing a first job internship at a studio as an artist? Put feelers out there and reach out to people you know and see if they're looking. It's it's different for everybody, and I feel like luck plays a part in it. Again, earlier I was saying make a list of your top 5, bottom 5 studios, or just your top 10 studio list. Find the studio that you really love, that's your like #1 dream studio. Doesn't matter if it's game or film, Naughty Dog or Disney, Pixar, doesn't matter. Is there somewhere you want to work? Look at that studio, find artists who are working at that studio, and then look at their work, because that's the bar. And start producing a lot of work. For internships, I don't know. You kind of have to play that by ear, which is kind of how I did it. I don't know if it's particularly easier or harder as far as getting an internship. It's so I don't know. Usually, the way to do it would be a connection of some kind, knowing somebody who works there, and ask if they're, willing to take on an intern. So I happen to be very lucky when I got my internship. They just happened to. I was taking a class from Jared Morantz. He said, "Hey, we're looking for internships. We're looking for interns. Anyone interested?" I was the only person in the class who raised my hand, and then I gave him my information, and then the next week I was working right next to Jared Morantz, my hero. It was awesome. I really do owe my career to Jared, because he opened that door for me, and then was very generous with his knowledge and taught me a lot. So very, very grateful to Jared. That's why it's important to kind of lift people up. This guy's got a kind of a mustache, but it's an alien mustache, so it's okay. Just give him some more striations. So if you have an area with like a lot of detail, it's good to like break that up with an area of simplicity to let the eye rest. Object there. Okay. So let's go back and like see if I can find anything worthwhile in the junk pile that I created. This guy feel like it's cool. Let's see. Let's create an insert mesh brush, which is kind of my answer to everything, is just make a brush out of it, and then that way you can just kind of draw it on. We're just going to kit bash it all in there. And actually, that's pretty cool. It's a good, happy accident. So I'm going to run with it. He's got like little finnies kind of coming up this way. Okay, this music is a little intense. I wasn't intending to go aquatic today, but aquatic's it's so fun. It's just so much more freeing. And he's always from like some kind of delegation. We're away from the Marklax delegation. We disagree. Then it's up to the captain. And I'm still working, fairly low res. In that I've subdivided everything, but it's funny. I was actually just thinking about the you get a flash of what to do. It would be kind of funny because I had back to the aquarium. Let me see if I can find that photo. There's this just really weird fish, and I do want to kind of put his nose on something. Here we go. Where was he? Come back, fish. There he is. There's that goofball fish. I found him. Okay, here's this goofball fish that I took at the aquarium. Look at that goofball nose. Look at that nose. He's got a cool nose, too. Look at that nose. I do kind of want to put that in there. That'd be kind of cool. Yes, those flappies are looking very flappy. Very, very flappy. Let's see. I just put that weird like thing. Like what? It's not awkward. put some more Flappies in there. All right, we're just Flappy bashing. Oh, maybe he's got like flappy eyebrows. That could be cool. That could be kind of fun. He's got little flappy eyebrows. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the installs or with the music. Let's get out of there. If you were to hire someone, would you hire them based on ZBrush skills only, or should they have something else? You should have a variety of skills. The more skills you have, the more valuable you will be. That's my personal opinion. So, I mean, really, you should be able to draw. You should be able to ZBrush, jump into other programs, just be as versatile as possible. And be willing to work on a range of styles as well. Cartoony or realistic. That's my personal thought, is just, you know, the more range you have, the more stuff you can do, the more valuable you'll be, and the longer you'll stay on a project. That's kind of the goal. All right, let's see. I'm going to get rid of the split hit. There we go. I'm going to get rid of the guys here. This is what's nice about Sculptris, just being able to erase it. So we can make some more Flappies. Okay, so now we're kind of running into a crucial problem where it would obstruct the actor's vision. So that's not going to work. Always try to remember that someone has to put this on their face. That's kind of weird. Let's try it. Kind of a cool. See, and you can see just like from this technique, you know, it could get a little crazy. And you can see there's a lot of like possibilities that can come from this. Actually, like, kind of like how this is going. Because it kind of creates a cool silhouette. It looks thoroughly alien. Maybe I'll just create some hairs kind of coming down, or I'll duplicate it and I'll do this thing where I go like this. Boop. You know, and your client might kick it back and say like, "Oh, that's too much." But you never know. Yeah, he's an early makeup call. Yeah. Excuse me. Let's see. Do I often travel out of the U.S. for work? No. I know artists who do, or who live that kind of like traveling lifestyle, and That's awesome. I can't do that because I'm kind of tethered to my wife and my child. So for me, I'm just well, let me get rid of this guy real quick. There we go. But this could all be one big block of a piece that they're putting on. Let's see. Now I can start kind of climbing up in the resolution over here. So I think I'm going to stop kind of building enough stuff out because it's probably just too much. And any more of this, we're just going to be adding weight. Even though they're prosthetics are getting much lighter. Plus, there's kind of beauty and simplicity. Looks like male pattern baldness of the species. Oh, poor guy. We're not done yet, though. We're gonna punch some hair out of this too. Some like stringy flaps. So he's got little nostrils here. Even though he's aquatic, he's got nostrils. He's evolved little nostrils. Nostrils sounds like the worst Greek god. Let's see. Let's get out of this. Let's get back to some more lo-fi beats. Flappies, everybody's making the flappies. Hope everyone's having a good time. So now that I've got kind of the big forms established, we can start kind of doing some detailing on this. This is all the fun stuff, by the way. This is where it really gets cool. If you have an area of complexity, kind of balance it out with an area of simplicity. For a lot of this stuff, I'll be using like standard brush, Damien standard. And you want to kind of put little seams and connection areas here where like I've got these little flappies here, so maybe they protrude out of a little area. I like when they have little nodules. And he looks, fishy. He looks like a fish man. Fantastic time. He's having a fantastic time. We're all having a good time. It's our man. Give him some kind of browns and tans, just to kind of offset the color of his face. More neutral kind of warm palette, so it's a nice contrast here. We can do some other things like build some patches off of him and some flight gear, things like that. Another brush I love to use for like fins or like things like that would be the rake brush, especially in the positive here. Lower that intensity a little bit, but it creates a nice little ribbed texture. And I'll just smooth it kind of down. There you go. I'm not worried about the eyes because the eyes I can add in Keyshot. Which would also be cool to do. Let's throw them in. At some point, you have to throw it into the renderer. The renderer. Hey, thanks for coming and hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Oh, look, it's very tiny. Very, very tiny in Keyshot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to set the project scale. You can do this in Scale Master. And you can set the scene scale. And I'll set it to centimeters this time. And then now let's send it over to Keyshot and we'll see if we get a better result. ZBrush likes to work in millimeters and Maya likes to work in centimeters. It's still very tiny. Very, very tiny. That's going to affect our camera and everything else. Let's try this. Let's set the skin shale. Let's do it to inches and see if we get a better result. See how that works. Oh, it's still very tiny. Whatever. I don't care how tiny it is. Don't judge me. All right. Here we go. Open up our camera here. Squash that focal length. It is looking pretty cool. Set my GPU. He's looking very future man. Kind of looks sad too. I don't know. It's like a tragic past. Complicated characters are always more interesting anyway. They met another starship and they didn't trust them. Yeah, this is 100% the problem. Is that it's a DAS base. Set the tool scale to 90. I'm going to try that. Thank you, Mark. What's up, Mark? What's up, man? You're saying the bottom set scale, tool set scale. 90. Well, we're not going to worry about it. Oh yes, it's also very tiny in the grid too. So if this is the case, this is an easy fix. Just pizza box, scale it up, and that'll be fine. Whatever. I know what you mean. The tool set scale. I know what you're saying. I'm going to send it over now. There we go. That's better. Just physically scaling it. So because I'm not worried about displacement maps or any of that stuff. Let's see. Set this guy position, snap to ground. I'll just pick an interior. Blur the background. So just our little fish man right here. His name is Mervin. His other stuff didn't scale. Did I lose it? There it is. There we go. Mervin. Just realized that in ZBrush you're rotating and moving the model, not the camera, to navigate. No, I am using the camera. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm just tumbling around the camera. ZBrush, you're rotating and moving the model, not the camera, to navigate. No, I'm not moving the model around. There we go. Set up a little bit of some lighting, just kind of get an idea of what we're going to go with. Add a spotlight. Whee. And let's power up that bad boy. General good 3/4 lighting. Up a little bit more. Up the radius a little bit. Oh, no. Dogs, right? Barking at nonsense. Yeah, once you get the lighting in there, man, it just looks magic. Just everything is magic. Let's go a little higher. And once you get that nice shadows, nice lighting, ZBrush is a lie because this is what it looks like in here, and then you see it in any other kind of rendering program, and you're like, man, it's cool. And then let's do this. Let's take the scene. Let's wash that down. And I'm going to duplicate this light. And this is going to become our rim light. Come back here, buddy. So set this guy a little further back here. And this guy gets to be a little bit stronger than our key light. Sometimes if it doesn't activate, just turn it off and on. Something kind of like that. And then once we throw skin shaders and we start shading it and doing all that stuff, it's going to look really super neato burrito. Just grab a translucent material. Up the scattering effect quite a bit. This might depend on the scale, overall scale of my guy. But for a, 2.5 hour block out, not a bad start. Now, there are things that we should do that will help kind of carry our guy over into the next stage, which would be more color, more breakup. I want to put some more hairs in there and things like that. But as a very simple alien creature guy, alien little dude, not a bad start. So there we go. It's good fun. Good, wholesome alien creature fun. So I'll just keep noodling on this guy in the meantime, and we'll take him to the next level maybe next week. We'll see. I think that's gonna be my time for tonight, everybody. So thanks for hanging out. My name is Jared Krichevsky. If you want to check me out on Instagram, it's at Jared Krichevsky. And my Twitter is at MonsterMash042. I want to thank our sponsor, Lenovo. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out, guys, hanging out with me while we make some monsters. We're having a good time. So that's that. And then thank you to Gnomon School of Visual Effects, the Mecca of Visual Effects in Hollywood, California. Thank you guys for joining me on Creature Corner tonight. And hope to see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Go make some monsters, you sickos. Yeah, you bunch of weirdos. Okay, love you. Good night.